You're listening to the Coach's Journey podcast, exposing the struggles and celebrating the successes in the life of coaches who are action takers and creating authentic impact in today's world. Whether you're just starting out, expanding your reach, or exploding your impact, you're in the right place right now. Stay tuned and be sure to subscribe to this podcast. Now, here are your hosts of the Coach's Journey podcast.
All right, amazing coaches. If you've been kind of hanging around, you've found the link somehow and you're seeing us struggling. This is fairly new for us. This is like I think the third podcast we're broadcasting on YouTube and then sharing it live in our school group. So we apologize for a little bit of a delay around that. You can see us working through this as we're going. We're excited for our topic today, and our topic is around potential. How do we get our clients to go towards our potential and our assumption to go towards their potential? Our assumption is that our highest goal as coaches and even as human beings, we'll talk about that in a little bit, is to get our clients to go towards our potential, towards their potential. I keep saying our potential, go towards their potential. And we want to have a discussion around this. And this is the sixth podcast episode that we're doing that's following up on what we started with, is that we talked about questions, we talked about going deeper with emotions, your emotional intelligence, relationships, all sorts of things that we talked about in the past 6 sessions. Now we want to talk about is how do we land this into our philosophy as a coach, and how does this work with our model when we're serving clients, and what are the things that we need to be aware of. And if you haven't listened to our podcast before, this is the Coach's Journey podcast. It's been sponsored by Coaching Mastery Community. We're a community of incredible coaches from all around the world supporting each other to build our business and craft, refine it as much as we can to serve our clients at the highest level. We have actually recently moved over to school. You will see the link somewhere below. We actually have a promotion coming up. It is up right now until April 1st. For the first 50 members who join, they get it for $27 a month, and they get the first 30 days for free. And if you're already in school, welcome. We're so excited to have you there, and we're so excited to support you there. Why don't we jump into the topic, Daniel?
Yeah, and if you're watching this on school or not on school, and you think you want to join us in school, we already have filled up 60% of our first 50 spots. So you have until April 1st. If you're watching this after April 1st, you can still join us by going to whatever link in school we have ready at that time. So, but for now, welcome, and let's talk about potential, the potential of our clients, and how we go about that and why it's so important. This is such a good topic. I think potential is actually the fundamental foundation, I think, of all coaching, if you think about it, because people come to coaching because they want to go in a particular direction or some direction, or they need clarity or whatever it is. But it's all about, I have more potential than I see right now. Like, potential is this fascinating thing. It's like we all have infinite potential, but what is the potential we can reach and expand into today is a different question than what's our infinite potential, right? So our job as coaches is to assume this client has more potential. That's why they're in front of you. And if you don't think that, then maybe that's not good for your client, right? Maybe it's not good for that relationship, because even if client comes to you with a very specific goal, like, I just want to accomplish this thing. Well, they have the potential to accomplish that thing, right? I love the word potential because it can be used in so many different ways. Even like if you go to physics and talk about potential energy, it's really interesting. It's like it has the potential to do work because it has potential energy. What energy can we use to do that work, right? So anyways, it's really great. I love this word. And if you don't like this word as a coach, I'd ask you to reconsider. You need to learn to love this word.
Reconsider the career path or the word?
No, the word potential. Yeah, you gotta love the word potential as a coach. That's my personal bias and opinion.
So, and I would go as far as to say, and whether they have been my coaches or the amazing coaches that have been around me, that I've worked with, that I've learned from, that have been colleagues, that have been mentors, coaches, and collaborators, the one common theme that I've seen over and over is that the best coaches are those who are able to see the potential in others before they can actually see it in themselves.
Yes.
And they can actually communicate that energetically. And by the way, this is the part you cannot hide as a coach. If you don't believe in your client's potential, they will read it subconsciously. You don't, and this is where you borderline on the unethical sales process, where if you don't believe but you're saying it just for the for the purpose of sales, just for the purpose of your business, they'll pick it up at one point or another. If they don't pick it up right away, they'll pick it up in the next hour. And plus, it affects your ability to serve the client quite a bit, so it will not be a good relationship anyway.
Yeah, you got to believe in the person that you're selling coaching to, because if you don't, what are you really selling them? You know, it's like, I don't believe in this product for you, but go ahead and buy it because I want some money. No. Yeah, but let's talk about potential, and maybe we could dive into there's like different aspects of this. I think the first half is like the client's potential. There's a whole another half. There's multiple halves, actually, not just two halves. One part, I should say, is the client's potential. Another part is the coach's potential to grow, because part of coaching is a growth process for coaches. And then there's also like the macro version of this is like the human race. We all have potential, and like the lens through which we see the world is what's possible, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like there's a coaching lens about potential that applies to clients, applies to ourselves, but ultimately it comes from the application to all of humanity, right?
Yeah. And that lends into your philosophy as a human being and your perception as a human being. How do you look at other human beings? That makes a big difference as to how you approach it. So we can actually approach it in those three ways. Is that okay? Your
Yeah, let's
client's
start with the
potential,
human
your
being.
potential, and your general perception and philosophy as a coach, how you look at it from a human perspective.
Yeah, let's start with human beings, because that kind of sets the foundation for the conversation too. Like, I think this is one of the things that drew me into coaching without me realizing it, is like I always saw the potential in people really, really quickly, and to my detriment sometimes, because I would get into, you know, business dealings with people who I saw the potential of business dealings, but I never thought about the risks, and I never thought about the potential for challenges too. But like I always had a tendency, and I still do have a tendency, to be ultra optimistic, and that is actually a thing that I have to figure out how to balance out with realism and like actual data and risk management. But if you are an optimistic person, you actually, it's a strength, it's a superpower, right? To see the positives, right? And be able to see like what's possible here. I think that's actually a superpower. I learned to realize it's a superpower I have, but every superpower comes with its kryptonite too. So
Yeah.
you can lose a lot of money by thinking, I'm so optimistic about this stock trade or this business investment or whatever, and you can really lose a lot of money because you didn't think about all the other things you also need to think about when making those kinds of decisions. But back to the fundamental point is, like, I've always believed in potential of people, and I've always found, you know, people that I meet, people in my family, I always think and believe they're capable of more. They're capable of whatever it is they're searching for, even if they have challenges in their life. And that fundamental belief has kind of driven a lot of my interactions over the course of my life. I think both in good ways and in negative ways.
I'm actually going to think through this together with you because it's bringing up a lot of thoughts around this stuff.
Me too.
My perspective on this has shifted a lot since I started as a coach than where it is now, for the good or the bad. It's just I think also partly its experience gives you some data as to. So I'll tell you what I used to think. What I used to think, I still think that generally speaking, exactly the same. I think everybody has the potential for growth. Everybody has the potential for change. Everybody has the potential. I don't think that's specific to one person or one set of group of people or one type of person or anything like that. But over the course of the past decade that I've been doing this work, what you realize is that there are people who are ready for growth and there are people who are not. And this is the part that actually coaches miss too, because we believe, like, this is the why we came in, because we believe in the potential of people. So we will go talk to anybody to try to help them in that way. But actually, I found that a majority of the people are not ready for that kind of growth. They have the potential, but it hasn't been activated in their own consciousness for them to want it. So they might be somebody who might need to just go through whatever they're going through right now, or maybe they need a social support structure. They need to just work through whatever they're working through, or they might need therapy at some point because they're struggling with a lot of things, but they're very few people that I've met that are actually ready to grow. Even those who say that they're ready to grow, I've learned to check in with them multiple times and challenge them in that area, because people say a lot of things, but when it comes to their actions, they show the complete opposite of it a lot of times. And nowadays, especially, we live in the world of personal development has become a big thing. Like self-help has become a relatively bigger thing, in at least in certain industries, in certain groups. So it's also become like a hip thing to say that I want to grow and I want to do this. But when you actually get down to it, it's very few people who actually see that, you know what, they have the potential to be something or do something or contribute in a way or create something that matters. And they have a sense of purpose around it, or at least they're seeking that. And that actually already puts you in a niche environment as a coach. We're not even talking about your niche, but like coaching is a niche thing. At least that's been my experience so far. So it has shifted a lot towards a bit like I qualify a lot more who I want to work with now versus in the past. I was ready to coach anybody.
Coach anybody.
Anybody who could talk and walk. Actually, not walk, but could talk. It was my
Yeah. And today, I would agree totally with what you said. For me, it's been I can coach anybody at the beginning, and now I'm realizing you have to add a couple things. Who is ready to learn, or is ready to grow, and who wants to grow, and also is a good match for me as a coach. There's so many other qualifiers that I've added to that as I've learned by trying to coach everybody.
You're listening to the Coach's Journey podcast.